Hey, welcome back. We're home. Another day, another vlog. Great to be home. Great to see my little buddy Jack, my beautiful wife. That was awesome. Yeah, unpacked, got all my stuff, backing up. Mad rush to go and check for my unboxing videos. The original copies. I don't know. It's a little scary. It's sort of all in the one folder, which I sort of had already, so it's the same folder. I'm just hopeful they aren't corrupt. There was nothing on my old laptop, so it was backed up into my big hard drive, but nothing sitting on that laptop. I must have deleted it after I've transferred it. Yeah, it's a bit scary, so I may have lost my MacBook 16 unboxing, which is not good, plus my Dana boots. Yeah, not happy. But lesson learned. It's an expensive lesson because you only get one 16-inch MacBook Pro to unbox, I guarantee you that. What do you do? What do you do? Move on, upwards and onwards. It's good to be home, back in the studio. A little bit more comfortable. It's nice to have my toolbox / bench here and all the setup. I'm trying to recover the battery on my 1DS Mark II, the new camera, so I can try and test that this week. That's my big hope. I have ordered some other batteries for it. They're going to be a while. I didn't want to pay $150 for a battery. That's insane. So I've got some coming, but I'm just trying to recover that now. I'm going to leave that running all night and try and recover it and see if it come good. It was supposed to be okay. The seller, and one of those unfortunate things, seller said I was okay. I'd say it was just sitting there for that long and it's just destroyed. So see how we go. But as you can see, the camera is in awesome nick compared with everything else. Just the battery. I do have a power adapter so I can run it with power, but obviously that's really no good. That's only good for in the studio here, and I've got the M50 for the video camera, so I don't really want to do that. But other than that, he's looked after it. It's immaculate in every other thing, and it's going to be pretty cool. They're monster. The 1D series is just monsters. Now this is the Mark II 1DS, so that's the basically like a landscape type or a studio. I think it's S is for the studio. So this is a 16.7 megapixel camera. So for 2012, when it came out, this would have been the duck's guts. So it's got all the stuff. I get to play with something. It didn't only cost me, I think, like $300. And I've obviously got to get some batteries, and I think I got some ones for like $40 each. Obviously, it just takes a while to get here. Being batteries doesn't help. But other than that, I've got the 28-80 on there, the EF. It's about the only EF lens I've really got. I have got adaptering so I can put my Super Takamar 8-blade 50mm on here, which I'm really excited about. I think that's going to be one I really want to play with. But 28, that should be pretty wide, or reasonably wide for this, so that'll be cool. And then obviously I have that 50 for a nice, to get that Boca and really test it out. So I'm really looking forward. So fingers crossed that battery comes up good. Otherwise, I'll have more delays. But she's here and I'm really excited about that one. Don't want to drop it either before I've even used it. Now, I did find my other videos, which was good. I had started on my Margaret River video. I started looking through the photos and I've got some fantastic photos in that. That's the current video, latest, but I've got a couple others. I've still got one from Hovia Falls, which is in John Mitchell National Park from a while back. And I've also got Bob Falls, another bushwalk as well. So I've got to work out which one I want to get on them. Fingers crossed this corrupt data, these files from my M50 that I airdropped. So I'll never do that again. Okay, so then I can do the unboxing, so that would be pretty cool. And then I've got to work out, I had a bit of a look last night while I was on lunch, and I'm thinking I may do something beachy this time, a little bit something different. but there's so much water around too, so I'm thinking either that or I might, like I did a revisit to Lesmurdy. Bells Rapids was one of my, I've been to Bells a heap of times for the Astro stuff, as you would have seen in a few months, but one of the first times I went out again when they had the M50 around, I think it was around the same time as Lesmurdy, it was just flowing full of water, and it's doing that now, so I'd love to get out and actually go and have a bit of a play there and around that area. So there's also the Avon Valley National Park, so there's some spots in there, and I think I may go that. I've got to work out with the beach. I've got two options. I just got to work out time frame when I'm going to get a chance to get out with the family duties. So looking pretty good. Definitely get another video, but I've got at least 3 up my sleeves. And then if I get those unboxings fixed, there's 6. Plus I've got 2 other projects that have turned up, but I won't say anything about them because they're going to be unboxings, and there's some work involved in those ones. So they're pretty cool. I can't wait. I'm pretty excited about that. Now, also, while I've got you, I've got a big thing on my plate today, so I want to get it done because we've got a huge day tomorrow and tomorrow night. But just a reminder on the Dana Boots review, which is also that massive hike through that awesome canyon. That's for the Dana Caprines, the boots. We've got the competition going. So if you go to part 2, at the end of part 2, you'll have all the details. You can check all that out. Go check out part 1 as well. I'll be putting a tip up probably near the end of July or near the end of my photos for that video. I'll give you a bit of a hot tip if you're on the Instagram. So it's Nightcliff_34. You can get over to there and you'll get that. If you can't work it out, but if not, just send me a message on one of the videos and I'm sure I can probably find something to help you out. I want to try and get as many people involved. If you need to be subscribed, and I need to be able to see you, so if you've got like one of those blocked subscribers, which I think you can, obviously it's very tricky for me to get to your messages and also to pick someone, so just be aware of that. Now I did say, I just want to refresh what is up for offer. I did say the other day I'm going to chuck in one of these little waterproof lights from Alanzi. I got a couple extra, so I think they're fairly handy, and having a good light that you can play around in the wet is super awesome. These are really cool. They're micro USB to charge. They come with a little filter. They're really good. That's the filter there. I'll just show you one of the lights. You can see what I mean anyway. From Boca Bearings. Now these guys, Boca Bearings, if you haven't seen my BMX bearing install, go check that out. A lot of the stuff I've done a heap of fishing reels. If you've watched all my how-to on the fishing reels, I've used all Boca Bearings in them, and this is their new stainless steel range. They're fantastic guys. This is not a sponsored video, but they do support my fishing team that we go to the Barra Classic every year. Obviously they got cancelled this year for COVID, so I've got a few extra prizes to pass on. So I want to make sure I spread the word about this awesome bunch of people, and their customer support is second to none, the best I've ever dealt with. So I can definitely wholeheartedly let you know these guys are good. Little mouse mat, but it's also quite handy because you can just chuck your bearings on and get your size, and it'll tell you exactly what size. So if you're unsure about ordering, this is super handy. So I'll chuck that in. Obviously team hat, the Tigers hats. This is from our Barra Classic team, so that's pretty cool. Now it is a small medium, but I run an XL, but I've got a big buff head. I've run out of the XLs because they're hot items. I've got to get some more done this year. That's a big project, but they're still fairly big. They're a pucker hat, and they are awesome, really good. It's a UV back mesh here, really nice hat, so you definitely go well with that one. Also from our mates at Boca, a couple of little tools, handy tools, little hammer utility thing, great for the boat, so I'll chuck that in as well, and a little Boca Leatherman as well. So a little Leatherman there from Boca. They're awesome. Really can't say enough about how much I do appreciate them and their support for our fishing team, and we've collabed on a video, that my first ever sponsor video for this channel. So I'm big fans of them. They do amazing product. The bearings are awesome. The ones in my BMX, which he's here, just massive difference. And the ones in my fishing reels are just awesome. So now this saltwater series, if you are doing offshore stuff, which probably a lot of you Australian guys are into, yeah, you cannot go wrong. If you've got some old reels and you want to do them up instead of buying a new reel, definitely get these. If you need any questions or any assistance, they're really awesome customer service wise. If you're just unsure on how to find the model and what bearings, just drop them a message. They will get back to you. They're really, really cool. Also, a waterproof team bag, that's in there as well. And I originally said it was going to be a $50 Boca Bearing voucher, but I'm going to chuck in two $50 US dollar Boca vouchers. So that's a big difference. That's about $1.5 million Australian. But yeah, so that's going to be drawn on the 1st of August. So make sure you go over and check out the Dana boot review and that Canyon height. It's a 2-part series. There's a question you need to answer as part of the competition, and that is what is, I think, the last photo on the part 2 that I put up. On that photo, I've actually put a name, so I've made it fairly easy. I think if you have any dramas, just please drop me a message and I will help you out. So that's the competition. A bit of a reminder, probably waffled on a bit there. But yeah, just thought now I'm home. I had all the stuff here. It was hard to show you at work, but yeah, all good. Now, rightio. So, news. Let's get into news. Some big stuff. Okay, I'll leave the Canon stuff to last because that's coming up. Microsoft and Bridgestone tyres, they're working together, doing a bit of a collab on tyre monitoring for passenger cars. It's going to come through an app in your phone. It's going to tell you if you get a hole or a puncture, temperature, all sorts of different things. Now, we use it in mining all the time. I have software in my job in breakdowns that I can monitor the tyres, temperatures and pressures on the whole fleet of our mining trucks. So it's an established technology. It's coming in. It's obviously expensive. That's why it's in mining. But at $50,000 a tyre, it's obviously well worth it. Now, obviously they must have dropped the costs a fair bit because the technology these guys are talking about is pretty darn advanced. It's even telling you sort of where on the tyre you've got a puncture, and all sorts of different hot spots and blah, blah, blah. So pretty cool. Tyres aren't cheap anymore, or haven't been for a long time. You're paying $400 or $500 a tyre. The last thing you want to do is get damaged or destroy a tyre and have to go and cough up for a whole brand new one. If you can just cough up for a quick patch or a repair or a plug, that's going to make a world of difference to your pocket. So pretty darn good, and yeah, really good technology coming, and it's good to see something again. It normally comes from Formula One and stuff like that, but it's good to see something coming from our mining. And I think, from memory, don't quote me, but I think Bridgestone might be owned by an Australian mining company, FMG. So I think he bought them in the boom a fair while ago when they were struggling. So that might be a bit of a boom for him. He's a very well-known Western Australian, yeah, very cool. So good technology, and I think that'll make a difference, especially on those long road trips. It'd be good to check your pressures and adjust them, or if you're doing sand work and stuff, you can actually drop your pressures down and get an accurate thing while you're driving along. So that's cool. Sony dropped their new G Master lens, a 12 to 24mm 2.8. Beautiful looking lens. It's really not that big and heavy. They were all saying how it's heavy and that. It's very similar to my Sigma 16mm, I'd say, in size. It's a 67mm front. It's about 800 grams, so it's really not too bad. Amazing lens. I'd love to get it, but wow, what a cost. 3,000 US bucks. Holy back crap. That's roughly, I'd guesstimate, around about a $5,000 lens. A gorgeous lens at 12, and they've done a really good job. I watched Jared Poland's review on it, and normally when you get a wide lens, you get a little bit of diffraction in your straight lines. You get a little bit of curvature and stuff, and it's pretty hard for them. it did a really amazing job on good, straight, clean lines, really crystal clear in corners compared to some of the others. And that 12 it'll be an amazing Astro lens come architecture lens, I think. But yeah, mega bucks. If for those Sony guys out there that are pros, I'd say it's probably something they want to get into their kit. You can go 12 to 24, the 24 to 70, and the 70 to 200, and get that Trinity. And I think this is one of those lenses that's probably been a long time coming. And its quality it probably doesn't. It sounds a lot of money, but I think when you delve into it a little bit, it's going to be the finer details that are really going to be where the money's shows up on why it costs so much for them to develop and make. So pretty cool, and yeah, it's out there, and I'm sure there's a heap of Sony guys ready to jump on board and buy it. I haven't seen a bad review on it as yet, so that's pretty cool. Now Victoria in Australia, it's had a really bad run in the last week or so. Multiple days of 50, 60 cases for COVID of tests come through positive. And then overnight, 191, a massive spike. So they're talking about they'd shut down 10 suburbs in the last couple of days, and they're talking about possibly shutting down the whole state. New South Wales shut their borders to Victoria, so you can't get across the border. I'm assuming South Australia is probably going to be looking heavily into that, as well as Canberra and obviously Tasmania. Well, they've got a bit of an ocean between them, so that's probably fairly handy. But yeah, it's sad news, not good. Hopefully no one gets, hopefully out of those cases that we are getting, it's just a matter of they're getting infected and then getting through it. Last time I did hear, when they first did start spiking, excuse me, a bit itchy, that there was only one person in intensive care and they weren't on a ventilator, so that's good news. So even though there's a lot of cases, fingers crossed they're just the mild cases and they get in and they can get through it. We don't get a spike of the ones where it actually is nasty. And I think that's the disparaging part. You hear it all on the news about 191 people getting test positive, and that's understandable. It's frustrating and it's not good. But out of those 191, it's probably going to be no one of them that actually goes into intensive care, let alone has to go on a ventilator, that's when it gets to the life-threatening part. So fingers crossed we don't have, out of all this last week, it's just a matter of people getting infected and we can clamp that down. So yeah, fingers crossed. And all those poor people in Victoria that are their businesses and everything else are going to suffer now because of it. It's just another tragedy out of this terrible thing that's happened in 2020. 2020's just smashed the whole planet for 6, so yeah, not good. Rightio, Canon, the R6 specs leaked on Canon rumours. Like, these are confirmed specs as of, I think, yesterday, I'm pretty sure. Now, it's pretty much mostly, I think we've run through these, but they weren't confirmed. This is confirmed, so as of Thursday, this is what we'll be getting. 20 megapixel IBIS, doesn't say how many stops. I think it's around about the 4 to 5. That's probably the only thing we don't have 100% confirmed. 12 to 20, so 12 mechanical, 20 electronic frames per second. It's going to be an oversampled 5K video, which is going to be fine. I don't think that's going to be too bad. A 4K 60 frames, that's going to be that's probably going to be the most that most people are using the R6 are going to use anyway. I don't think they'll be really worried about the 5K. Ultra high def or true high def is going to be 120 frames, and that's going to be pretty darn cool. It is C-Log, so that's really good for color grading, so that'll give you a good image. It is 10 bits, so those colors, that's going to be really good for the color side and for the video guys. So I think that'll make a massive bit difference, the 10-bit. It's also going to have zebras. So basically zebras are going to be, you'll hear people talking about zebras. That's when you get a really bright light like the sun, it'll blow it out, and when you're watching yourself on the video, especially for vlogging, you can see the zebras, so you can see that you've got that, it's just blown out and that's now out. You've got to do something about it to fix it. So that's quite handy, and when you're setting up a studio on that, you can basically fine tune it to make sure you've got a really good picture. I've got some lights here and lights there, and hopefully I haven't blown mine out. I tried taking the roof light off, a little bit of something different. See how we go. excuse me. It's got the AF autofocus, the same as the R5, so it's going to be really good RF. So that's going to be the dual pixel autofocus and all that the Canon's renowned for. I don't think that's going to be an issue. That's going to be good, really good. No raw video like the R5. That's got the that goes up to 8K raw. This has got no raw video. Again, for the R6, I don't think that will be a huge big deal breaker. Dual SD card, so it's not going to have the one CFS Express and the one SD. It's going to have dual SD. I actually think that's a better option. With that announcement we had a while back with SDs going to be ramping up the quality SDs to go up to 1500 megabytes a second on the SD cards. Basically the same speeds as the CF Express, and they're also already doing 1 terabytes and 2 terabyte SDs anyway, so I think that's probably actually a good move, and I think a lot of people will actually appreciate that because they're going to have a heap of SD cards that they can whack in, so they're ready to go and they don't have to pay $500 a card for a CFS Express. So very, very cool, and you may even see the R5 in it Series 2 get dropped back to 2 SD cards depending on how this new format for the SD goes, so that will be pretty interesting. It's got a 5 million dot EVF, so that's going to be absolute filet mignon. That will be just deluxe. It is Bluetooth 4.2 instead of Bluetooth 5, which is what's in the R5. That's pretty silly. The app that you use now is a pain in the ass with Canon. I can't see it getting any better, and a brand new camera having something as old-fashioned as that 4.2 instead of the 5, surely it couldn't have been that much of a cost difference or space difference to put the 5 in. That's going to be painful because the people using the R6 are probably going to be like photographers and astrophotographers and stuff like that. They're the ones that are going to probably use the app a lot, so that is pretty annoying. The R5 is going to be more video, and dudes that probably don't, they're going to use Wi-Fi and other stuff. They'll have the adapters and commercial adapters they can bolt on to get the better reception. But the R6 is going to be a little bit more like you and me, and not having that Bluetooth 5 in there, I think was a little bit disappointing. It does have the new battery that's in there, and it's going to be under $2,500 US. So that's, what are we at, 6,500, 64 is 24, so about $4,000, little around about the $4,000 mark Australian. That's not too bad for all that quality. I think you'd be pretty happy with that for a brand new camera. Also coming, which we didn't know about, was battery grips. There's basically 2 new battery grips, one for the R5, one for the R6. So they can bolt straight on, so that's pretty darn cool. Now it's also got a Wi-Fi model, so whether that's going to be the thing is why they didn't worry about the Bluetooth 5 in the R6 or not, and what that's going to do. Is that going to be something that's going to be more for that Canon cloud system and stuff like that? But battery with a built-in bigger Wi-Fi system, I think that's really good nowadays. It's going to be awesome to get that in there and get you a better signal so you can actually go and do your stuff and do your nightscapes and whatever else you're setting up and be a fair distance away. So hopefully it's got a bigger antenna in there as well. So that'd be pretty cool. No prices and no real specs on those as such. Printer, the printer re-in-relief, we've got the name of that. We've got no specs, but that's going to be the Image ProGraph Pro 300. So you can currently get the 1000 series, and I think there's another 500 or something underneath that. So this is probably going to be more of a, I think that what they're aiming with this is that pro level printing quality and those inks, but at the cost point for you, me, and the not a pro user, but like someone that semi-professional that wants to put a nice print on their wall or give it to their family and friends and not pay a fortune, but have the really good print quality. So I think that'll be really interesting to see how that goes, because I've looked at second hand and there's still about $1,000 second hand on eBay for the 1000. the Prograph 1000s, and they're a big unit, and then you got to get ink and all the maintenance, and then the papers and stuff like that on top. So it's a fair bit of coin. So if this is going to be around the 300-400 mark, and you get that pro level, I think that will be a big seller. Lens pricing, we've got some lens pricing confirmed on some new lenses that they're going to be announced, but we've got the prices. We've talked about all the specs on them. I'll just quickly run through the prices, and that'll do us. That 85mm 650, this is in pounds, so basically double it, so 650, so 12, so $1,300 Australian. The 100 to 500, the L series, £2,900, so let's call that $6,000. That's huge, but it is an L series, so I did expect something like that. The 600mm and the 600mm is going to be about $1,500 Australian, or 14 to 1,500, and the 800mm is going to be roughly around £2,930, so roughly 2,000 Australian dollars. Would be pretty darn close. So, as I said, this week's a huge week for Canon. They're going to be reveling it all week. I don't think they care about the leaks popping out now, because it's 9 a.m. on the Thursday, which I think is the US time. So that's going to be probably around midnight, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I'm probably going to be staying up for this one to try and get as much of the info for you, and so I'm ready to go. Friday show will be a huge show. There's been stuff every day but dropping this week, so stay tuned for tomorrow, and I'll see you all then. Anyway, that was a huge one. Hope you got all that, and my little Claris. This is a bad boy, 3,200 lumens. Nice headlamp. We'll talk more about that one on a later date. Rightio. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Big show. Happy Wednesday. It's home day. It's fly out day. It's the best day of the month. Oh yeah. Get to see our family and get to be home. All right, I'll see you all again tomorrow, Thursday. I'm sure there's going to be more to talk about then. Stay tuned, and thanks for dropping by, especially all you guys out there in podcast world. I do hope you appreciate it, and we'll be doing more with you guys. Don't forget that competition. Shoot over and check out our YouTube channel if you are on the podcast. Okie doke. See you soon. Wherever you go on that way, I'll catch ya on the Thursday. Peace.